What's going on, guys? Billy here, and this is the brand new DJI Mini 2. It takes what made that original Mavic Mini so great and dials it up a notch as we get some brand new features and improved and upgraded specs all the way across the board. Now in today's video, I want to do my first flight and give you guys my first impressions of this drone. I think that this is a really important video to make. It kind of sets a baseline for my thoughts and gives me a platform to then jump off of and kind of dive deeper into this drone. But I do want to cover some of the initial specs and some of the initial changes made to the Mini 2 here in the beginning of the video. If you guys want to skip over that and just watch the flight, I don't blame you. I'll put a timestamp here on the screen and you can skip ahead. So the first thing to note is the design, which is virtually unchanged from that first Mavic Mini. You'll see that the new Mini 2 comes wrapped in this rubber propeller guard, which is a welcome addition because these propellers have a tendency to flop all around. Getting to the drone itself, we still have a small foldable design that comes in at under 249 grams here. The battery is enclosed inside of this back door, which sits just above the SD card slot and a newly added USB-C port in exchange for the older micro USB port. There's also this new customizable LED on the front of the drone, which can be changed to different colors and different settings within the Fly app. Other than the camera on the front that boasts new and improved specs, there are two vision positioning sensors underneath of the drone, which helps it hold its position in the air and detects the ground as it approaches to land. Perhaps the biggest hardware change to the Mini 2 though is the remote, which is essentially the same controller that comes with the Mavic Air 2 with just the slightest differences. These being the change in selectable flight modes from tripod on the Air 2 to CineSmooth on the Mini 2, the addition of a pause indicator on the return to home button, and the switch from white LEDs to green LEDs there at the bottom. Do you guys have any idea what the Mini 2 coming shipped with a Mavic Air 2 style remote controller means? It means that this drone runs on the OcuSync 2 transmission system, and that is a huge upgrade over the enhanced Wi-Fi transmission system the older Mavic Mini came with. Now, I know that this is a beginner drone, so I understand that some people might not understand what a transmission system is. It's essentially what sends the signal from the remote to the drone and then sends that video feed from the drone's camera back to your drone. And as you can imagine, it's really important to have a drone that has a good transmission system. Now, the Wi-Fi transmission system got the job done, but it's not as good. It's not nearly as good as what OcuSync 2 delivers. Basically, with this drone, you can fly 6.21 miles. That's the maximum range, 10 kilometers. Now, I don't think you're ever going to be flying that far specifically with this drone, but I can say that over a distance when you're flying around, it's going to really cut down on the interference that you experience. It's just all around going to be a much better flight experience. For the longest time, DJI's top tier transmission system was reserved for their top tier drones like the Mavic 2 Pro, but now we get OcuSync across the board in all of the current lineup of Mavic drones, the Mini 2, the Air 2, and the 2 series. All right, so look, we'll get more into the transmission system when we get this drone up in the air and I can demonstrate to you just how clear that signal is coming back to the drone and how low the latency is. But for now, let's go over some of the important spec bumps that the Mini 2 received. In the camera department, the max video resolution increased from 2.7K all the way up to 4K, and the increased max bitrate is also a huge upgrade for those that are looking to get all around better video quality. Switching gears, when shooting photos, we now have the option to shoot in a RAW format. DJI was also gracious enough to give us some more photo shooting modes like exposure bracketing and panoramas. These are all great additions that actually make the Mini 2 a serious consideration for professionals and camera enthusiasts alike. Now, of course, the change in transmission system is also listed here alongside some of the other specs like a brand new top speed of 36 miles an hour, a great flight time of 31 minutes, and an improved wind resistance rating, which is made possible through the upgraded motors. All right, you guys, the suspense is killing me. Let's finally get this drone in the air for the very first time. I gotta say, it feels impossibly light. Yeah, it feels like a Mavic Mini. Looks like a Mavic Mini and feels like a Mavic Mini. Just take a second to look at that 4K video. The light is hitting perfectly right now. And the colors haven't gone away. There's still some leaves on the trees. So yeah, that feels great. And I can say that there is a little bit of a breeze here today, so it's gonna be interesting to see how it does with the wind. So let's crank it into sport mode and hightail it down the water here. Now, I did kind of go through and roughly change some of my settings off the bat, just to kind of get a feel for the drone itself. I kind of went off of what I was using on the Mavic Air 2, but I will probably have to dial some things in a little bit more. So right now we're getting a top speed of 35 miles an hour. The gimbal is shooting down a little bit in sport mode, but we can keep that pitched at 0 degrees. It looks like just because of the design of the gimbal, we can't keep it directly straight at 0 degrees all the time when flying. But as for our speed right now, 36 miles an hour, that is 5 miles an hour faster than what we would get with the original Mavic Mini. So already it's feeling like a more premium drone, something that's a little bit more well-built and more suited for somebody that wants to grow into a better drone. Even this transmission signal, guys, Remember, with OcuSync 2, we're gonna get a far superior transmission going all the way down. I haven't had a single breakup and we're about a half a mile away. So this is gonna be our limit. We always kind of take a cruise. We always kind of take a cruise down to this bridge at the very first minute. I can already say that if I didn't know this was a Mini 2, I don't think I would know I was flying a drone sub 249 grams. It just feels so great. Now, there were some trains coming by a little bit earlier while I was wasting my time talking about this drone. I'm hoping that they do come back. So let's go ahead, fly forward, fly back here, and let's see just how fast we can dive with the drone. So how fast we can get our vertical speed to go. So right now we're cruising at 23 miles an hour. We're probably facing a little bit of a headwind coming up upriver. So we'll dive now. -8 miles an hour. This thing dives pretty fast. That's actually really good. I hate with some of these other drones how it takes so long for the drone to get back down to the ground, but we've got some really good agility with this drone here. So as you guys may know from previous flight videos, we are in Manayunk right now. And actually on my original Mavic Mini video, this building over here was under construction. It is going to be a hotel, and it is still under construction a year later. And it's been under construction for a year before that. So we don't have any cranes to fly around here, but I can say that we will try to do a little reveal shot coming up over the bridge maybe. So we'll fly over there, throw it in a normal mode, and try shooting some cinematic video with it, see how it fares. I can just tell you right now, sticks are dead accurate. I'm so used to flying with this remote controller because of the original, or because of the Mavic Air 2, but just like the input feels so smooth. Ooh, gimbal is banking a little bit there as we kind of braked. We are in sport mode. That'll be something to look out for. All right, so we'll go down a little bit here, pitch the camera upwards. Just the entire flight experience feels so fluid and so smooth. Let's maybe move to the right just a little bit here. Everything feels so polished and so smooth. I say this every single time that I fly a DJI drone, that they just keep feeling better and better. So let's go down, and now let's fly straight up. We'll do a little reveal here. Yeah, feels nice. Nice and smooth. I see no micro movements. I see no jitters from the gimbal or from the drone itself. Despite it being 249 grams, it's really not getting bullied around by the wind at all. Facing that headwind, we weren't able to reach our top speed, 36 miles an hour, but that's to be expected. That increased wind resistance, the increased wind resistance rating scale was really great. So yeah, this is gonna be great to shoot cinematic video with. I did dial in my controls beforehand. I took what the Mavic Air 2 had, and that really helped. So let's see, we've got an estimated 20 minutes left of flight time. We've been flying for probably 4 minutes. So that's pretty good. We've got 74%. It's really not draining the battery all that fast. So let's see, let's spin all the way around and let's fly a little bit further down the river. So I am sitting there just to the left. We're gonna take the drone behind us here, so we'll kind of get a feel for how it operates. That gimbal does shoot down fairly drastically in sport mode. And that's something I've always said about these drones, these foldable designs. You don't have a lot of range of motion in the gimbal. Let's see, if we put it into normal here and if we go full throttle forward, the gimbal does a better job at staying straight, so that's only in sport mode. To be expected, it's such a small drone. They've had to make so many cuts with that gimbal assembly just because they needed to make the drone so small. So right now, I don't have the drone pointing directly forward, and I'm still getting really good connection on the remote controller or from the remote controller. And this is great because you're not always gonna be facing directly towards the drone, and you want that signal to stay nice and strong. We've still got 4 or 5 bars, and we're doing great. We're just gonna kind of do a reveal up over Manayunk here. I can't get a feel for the footage right this second because I'm looking at a downscaled 720p version of it, but I'm sure that this 4K video right now is going to look beautiful. Yeah, that's nice, awesome. Now check this out. You see right next to the record button, there's a little 1x. If we press on that, it can zoom into 2x, which is great. We get a 2x zoom here when shooting in 4K. Now, I think it does have a little bit of compression built in there, but we can even zoom in up to 4 times when shooting in 1080p. So that's great that that's built in. I think that's an awesome feature. Whether you want to use this drone for like inspections, you could zoom in, or just for right now, zoom in and get a nice tighter shot rather than having that wider field of view. So yeah, that's nice, that's awesome. All right, so let's go back to 1x. And you can do that on the fly, which is great. Spin her around here. No abnormalities in the gimbal. That was very strange that the gimbal decided to like twitch to the side. I am flying this a little bit early. I am running some pre-released firmware, so maybe it's something they'll fix in the coming months, coming weeks with a firmware update, but I wouldn't be too worried about it right now. It only happened to me once. Flying directly overhead. That thing is so quiet, even at 170 feet, you don't even know that it's there. All right, we're gonna get nice and low over the train tracks here, go and chase some of these trains or go and look for some of these trains. If you guys remember my previous flight video with, I don't remember which drone it was, I almost hit one of the wires coming down here. I got real low. That wasn't pretty. Also, right now we're in an automatic exposure setting. I just figured we're flying around, we're doing one full continuous take. It'd be easy to just let it in auto and kind of let it fly. So right now, guys, we're headed down the train tracks. Absolutely no breakup, cruising at 35, 36 miles an hour. This drone feels so good. It doesn't feel like a Mavic Mini. It doesn't feel like I'm flying a drone that's so small. All right, so now there's those wires right there hanging low. There they are. All right, so we'll keep flying over. There is absolutely no breakup. I mean, look, I'm spoiled. I've flown the Mavic 2 Pro, the Mavic Air 2. They all come with OcuSync 2. But this drone having OcuSync 2 now, it just doesn't feel right. It feels like I shouldn't be able to fly a drone this small, this expensive, this well. We're just gonna keep pushing it. We're gonna try and hit those next bridges down there, flying over these trains. I wish I had some movement. That would be great. But I think that just this flight right now is gonna really show off the potential that this drone has. We'll get a little bit lower now. I don't think there's any wires. This can kind of serve as some preliminary 4K test footage for you guys to take a look at here. We'll get away from the trains now and head over to the bridges. 51% battery, 10 minutes remaining flight time, estimated left, 5 bars, almost a full mile away. I mean, I don't know how many people with the Mini 2 will actually be taking this over a mile away. I think I already commented on the remote. This is far better than what came with the original Mini, the original Mavic Mini. I think that all around it's better. It's got USB-C, the switches are easier to access, the ergonomics are overall better, and I said that about the Mavic Air 2 in the very beginning as well. Check this out. We are still going absolutely strong. This drone is doing so well, so much better than I expected. I remember last year, all right, I'm gonna come to a stop here. We made it pretty far. We'll spin it around so it's not just flying back and forth this video. I remember in my original Mavic Mini flight video, I was very impressed with how it flew, and I think that really came off in that video, and that's what kind of made me like the Mavic Mini so much. But they've done so many things to upgrade this drone, so many great things. We're facing a headwind right now. 25 miles an hour is our top speed. Really not all that bad. Maybe let's try and go over those trains again. So if you guys are interested, I'm gonna be posting a ton of videos on the Mini 2 over the coming weeks. I think I've got my RTH altitude set really high. Let me see. My RTH is 328. Let's lower that down to about 150. There we are. Yeah, so over the next coming months, weeks, days, I'm gonna be posting a lot about the Mini 2. So if you guys are interested, you can go ahead and check out those videos, stay subscribed. Right now, we must be fighting a really strong headwind because we only went down to like 9 miles an hour. It is very windy. That's kind of just what you've got to expect when it's fall. Now, I want to make a comment on battery life, but I don't think that it's right to comment on the battery life when I am flying specifically solely in sport mode and when I'm facing all of this wind. You know, we've been flying right now for about 11 minutes, and at 32% battery, you probably want to start thinking about coming back. Now, if you're a photographer, if you're just kind of buzzing around from spot to spot in normal mode, you're probably going to see a lot better flight time. But because I'm pushing this drone so hard, it's understandable that we're not getting the full advertised flight time. In fact, it's really hard to reach that full 31 minutes. I'm not really sure how DJI comes to that exact number, but regardless, we're getting some very good flight time here. 27%, 11 minutes, fighting a strong headwind. And I think that this is just a really good example showing that the the Mini 2, can really hold strong against high winds. That was one of my biggest fears when you took the drone off. It's like, how confident do you feel in that drone after it leaves your area, after it goes 1,000 feet away? Do you feel confident flying that drone? Now, confidence is built over time, but With this drone having OcuSync 2 and having a higher wind resistance rating, I feel so much better getting this drone further away from me and shooting video than I did with the original Mavic Mini because it can just handle more. I thought we were gonna be able to do some more flying here, shoot a little bit more, but I think I'm gonna have to bring it in for the landing just because we're fighting this nasty headwind. Maybe I'll try lowering the drone a little bit. We're probably gonna squeeze every percentage of battery out of this drone. You see on the right side, I've been recording for 12 minutes, but we were recording a little bit before I took off. Let's see, 40 seconds until forced landing. I wish it showed your total flight time. I think it does, but just not in this section that I'm at. I'll tell you what, it's a good performer. Definitely is something that I'm impressed by. You know, with these relatively, I'll call them entry-level drones, they always kind of surprise me, especially what DJI can do with them, just because it's so impressive. There's that critically low battery warning. Man, we are gonna bring this back to a full 0%. If you guys remember, Dustin Dunhill did an epic video.
Critically low battery.
Oh, come on.
Critically low battery.
When it gets down to critically low battery, it limits your power. So we're at 5 miles an hour and we can't go any faster. Now it's gonna make us land. Look, we are so close to the parking garage. All right, well look.
Critically low battery.
We'll land it down there and go pick it up off the pavement. At least it adds a little bit of drama and suspense to the video. You know what, let's just bring it all the way back. We'll do a good Dustin Dunhill now. Return to home all the way down to 0%. 4%, pushing it in sport mode. That's something I'm not a big fan of. I wish that they didn't limit your power when you're getting lower on battery. I wish that you could just fly it full speed right back to you. Here we are. I can see it. We're gonna make it. All right, there it is. Ooh. There it is. So we landed with 2% battery left. That's awesome. Look, I am super impressed by this drone. Everything that it has to offer, I like. It's very travelable, it's very portable, and it's really great for the price that they offer at, and especially it's 249 grams. It performs really well. Now, I've got to say, do you guys remember the original Phantom 4 Standard when it came back in 2016? Do you remember the specs that it offered? It's basically the same as what this brand new Mini 2 offers. It's just crazy to see how the technology has evolved, especially in the drone industry. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna put a fresh battery in. I'm gonna keep flying. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.